a lot of people throughout this, throughout the comments and what other people have talked about of your viral video, who were genuinely fearful of what the future holds. You know, they weren't economists. They weren't people who had a vested interests in certain type of politics or investing in gold or Bitcoin or whatever. But they asked honest questions. So Maria Jose Figueredo 2431 said, "Do you have any advice for the common rank and file?" And we had exactly the same question from many, many others. What should people do in preparation?
Things are going to be bad because, as things are at present, with a general lack of understanding of the cause of the catastrophe that we're heading towards, there will be general despair. Despair results in violence, or at the very least, people turn for salvation to the right-wing populist politicians. And that is where we are today. And there's almost nothing that can be done if we remain ignorant of the solution. What can people do? They can transform the psychology, the social psychology, by understanding the cause of our collective problems, which is a single problem, and then engaging in the conversation with others on a large scale. And we have the means to do that through social media. Social media can be a tool for good as well as bad. But it means we need to be informed about precisely why we're heading for a disaster. If enough people say, well, we now understand how we got into this mess and we know what needs to be done, even though things will be going on around us that are really serious, like whole communities being burnt down in Spain, like whole communities along the Florida or the California coast being flooded, even though that will be happening, there needn't be a general panic, fear, if people understand the cause and the cure, which means that they will have hope of navigating through what's going to happen. But that means people en masse must be aware of what needs to be done. Now, it's no good the cynic saying that's an impossible scenario, we can't achieve it. In Britain 100 years ago, there was this mass awareness of what needs to be done, and it led Parliament to actually introduce the tax reforms that were needed. But that lasted for 10 years, and then the right-wingers, the Conservatives, moved in and they scrapped the legislation and they restored the old way of penalising people who went to work and rewarding people who sat back and just collected the rents. But in that time in Britain, it actually worked. There was a general understanding. But of course, today, unlike then, we all own a bit of land, and we all, therefore, through our homes, receive these capital gains, whereas back then, most people were tenants. So it didn't worry them if the capital gains were diminished and wage rates levels were raised by untaxing wages. But it can be done, but it needs people to be informed. That's the key thing. Otherwise, no, I'm not going to tell people they should sell their homes or they should move and all the rest of it. It's for individuals to work out, based on their particular circumstances, how to cope. Nobody's going to be exempt. Everybody in the world will be affected this next time. But given that we're all in it together, we can all get through it together. But we will only do that if we know what the hell is happening and how to build back better once we navigate the catastrophes.
So, Fred, what you're saying is the only real way we're going to protect ourselves and our children is if we learn that we need to start taxing economic rents and take the taxes off our trade, labour and investments.
And that would instantly have a constructive effect on the levels of employment, on the volumes of resources going into the infrastructure, and in other words, the reverse of what's happening now. People are losing jobs, governments are not spending money on defences against climate change, and we're actually accelerating the rate at which we're heading for disaster. Whereas if we do the right thing in terms of tax policy, we reverse everything and we start rebuilding immediately.
So the only empowerment is our own knowledge and how we talk to other people and how we play our own tiny role in society.
And that's called informed democracy.
Well, that's wonderful. I can't thank you enough, Fred, for sharing your thoughts with all our viewers. And hopefully we'll do some more interesting videos in the run-up to your publication of your next book.
Thank you, Peter.